is destabilizing our world. It seems our emissions will not fall quickly enough to avoid runaway warming, and we may soon hit tipping points that will lead to the collapse of ecosystems and our civilization. While scientists, activists, and much of the younger generation urge action, it appears most politicians are not committed to doing anything meaningful, while the fossil fuel industry still works actively against change. It seems humanity can't overcome its greed and obsession with short-term profit and personal gain to save itself. And so for many, the future looks grim and hopeless.
Wow.
Young people feel particularly anxious and depressed. Instead of looking ahead to a lifetime of opportunity, they wonder if they will even have a future or if they should bring kids into this world. It's an age of doom and hopelessness, and giving up seems the only sensible thing to do. But that's not true. You are not doomed. Humanity is not
xQc,
doomed.
did you hear about the secret rare Twitch drop? What is the emote code to unlock the drop? I know you know the code. Is it red
not
coats?
wrong.
Stone
Despite
white
the
thing?
seriousness of the
Do-do-do.
situation, for years positive trends have accumulated, and there is finally some good news and a clear path towards our collective climate goals. Welcome to our TED Talk. Please watch this video to the end. Check out our detailed sources afterwards to learn more. Okay, let's start with the scariest things. Cancelling the apocalypse.
Uh-oh.
Some of the most widely shared stories about climate change are that it is an existential threat, the end of human civilization, and maybe even our own extinction event, and that it's basically unavoidable now. But what does science actually say? As of 2022, the global average temperature has risen 1.2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial times. Limiting warming to
Guys, it's a question, okay? Because I don't know nothing about it, guys. Everybody knows that I'm not a denier of the climate change. People were saying that if you, when you scale this up backwards, there are times where things go up and then they go down or whatever, right? People always a coincidence. I know it's not, but does that have any validity or not? That there are times and eras where things go up because of whatever, and then it goes down. And if you reel back the before 1880, you go way back.
1.2 degrees
Sammy?
Celsius compared to pre-industrial times. Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees was the most ambitious goal of the Paris Agreement, but we are not likely to meet it. Already with the warming we have today, hot places will get hotter, wet places wetter, and the risk and strength of extreme weather events increase significantly. Warming beyond 2 degrees makes all of these extremes more extreme. Extreme weather events more common, with more ecosystems under major pressure. Some will not survive. At 3 degrees, significant parts of Earth, especially in developing countries, might become unable to feed their populations. Heat waves will become a major global issue. Large-scale natural systems will break down. The scale and frequency of hurricanes, fires, and droughts will further increase and cause trillions in damage. Poor regions and subsistence farmers will be hit the hardest. Hundreds of millions of people will need to leave their homes. In the 4 to 8 degree range, the apocalypse begins. The hothouse Earth, where things change so quickly that it may become unable to support our large human population, and billions may perish, leaving the rest on a hostile alien planet. A decade ago, for lack of action and perspective, many scientists assumed a 4+ degree world was our future, and a lot of public communication focused on exactly this future path. Luckily, it's much less likely that this version of the apocalypse will come to pass. If current climate policies stagnate, we're likely to end up with warming of around 3 degrees Celsius by 2100. Which is
Chet,
scary
I got
and
noticed
tragic
by
and
xQc. He timed me out. Let's go.
far from acceptable. But this is actually good news. How? In the last decade, we've seen enough progress that most scientists now think that we have likely avoided apocalyptic climate change. Although substantial risk still remains, we can pretty confidently say that humanity isn't going anywhere. Civilization might have to change, but it will endure. Which begs the question, what has changed
Surely.
over the last 10 years, and is this really good news? The invisible shift. You probably know this story. The last decade has been an immense failure for climate policies around the world. Instead of passing comprehensive binding bills that would
Guys,
mean
For more
Guys,
people
guys.
than you know xQcl.
Guys, I feel like anytime that
Fake.
there's something that is like, oh, guys, let's all agree to slow down this and that. All other people here is like, oh, if they're gonna slow down, well, we'll accelerate and we're gonna go past them. So, guys, is this a bad take to feel that the world is so competitive that anytime that there's some sort of agreement that the people just slow down and chill, whatever, other people will just see it as like an opportunity to go faster and go past them, and then fuck it, dude, boom, 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 and it's why nobody wants to do anything.
meaningfully reduce emissions, we mostly did nothing. A lost decade with one negative record after another. And this story is true, and it's one reason why so many people are giving up. But it is not the whole picture. Despite the lack of climate policies and ongoing lobbying and misinformation campaigns from the fossil fuel industries, there was a lot of progress. Let's go back 20 years to see why today is so different. Between 2000 and 2010, greenhouse gas emissions had grown by 24%, 3 times as much as the increase in the previous decade. Subsidies for fossil fuels aimed at promoting economic growth caused a colossal increase in their...
Guys, I think it's a good parallel to talk about. Guys, is this a good parallel? Guys, if I say that, you know, just like in the wars, in the treaties that people say in terms of war, was like, oh, dude, don't use this, don't use that. You can't do this, you can't do that, right? Well, technically, other countries say, oh, dude, oh yeah, sure. If they can do that, that makes them weak, because then we can use it, right? And then it kind of becomes like this.
Consumption. For developing countries like
peace
China and
treaties or
India,
whatever, it's
coal
like
was the cheapest fuel for growth, while rich countries showed little interest in changing
Mods, just tell shit out. It's so fucking
their
annoying.
ways. In 2010, many people expected these trends to continue. Instead of decreasing fossil fuel use, its consumption would
I
rise.
just knew that shit. It's so annoying.
The next decade turned out to be very different, though. First of all, coal burning in developing countries like India has slowed down or leveled off, like in China, and it's plummeted in rich countries like the UK and US. Since 2015, 3/4 of planned coal plants have been cancelled, and 44 countries have committed to stop building them. 10 years ago, that would have seemed like wishful thinking, but today we can say with confidence, coal is dying. It's just not competitive anymore, because technologies we thought would remain expensive matured rapidly instead. Renewable electricity has shown explosive progress. In a mere decade, wind energy got 3 times cheaper. Solar electricity is now 10 times cheaper.
Oh wow.
Cheaper than coal or any other fossil fuel burning power plant, despite the massive subsidies and global infrastructure propping up fossil fuels. 24
This guy says, yeah, chat, people losing jobs is so pog. Okay. When in times of change, okay, there's always a sacrifice to be made. When you experience change, that's just what's gonna happen. You move what things to others, and people lose stuff. I'm sorry, it kind of is what it is. It's like if you have, I don't know, but people that are like soldiers or whatever that are paid in the army, and they're like, guys, there's less war, we need less soldiers. Oh, but dude, our jobs, what the fuck? Like, dude, can we celebrate that there's less wars? I get it, people are losing jobs, it's bad, but can we celebrate the fact that there's less people that are dying and getting killed and less casualties? Like, I don't get it.
5 times more solar and nearly 5 times more wind electricity is produced today compared with 10 years ago, which is of course not nearly enough. One of the biggest obstacles is the variability of their power output. Renewables need a lot of energy storage to be a reliable power source, like expensive batteries. Amazingly, battery prices have decreased by 97% in the past 30 years, 60% in the last decade alone, which will serve all kinds of green technology like electric cars.
How is it a millionaire take you? Guys, I was very broke before. I was in debt. I got kicked out of my house at 18. I had to find jobs. Motherfucker, I created opportunity for myself. Motherfucker, guys, how many times do I have to tell you? Okay, I had real jobs. Motherfucker, I was a janitor in a fucking factory at 18. I was making $23.50. That's not bad at all. That's decent. It's pretty good. Motherfucker. Okay,
you might say, well, that's great, but didn't Kurzgesagt's last climate video say that while wind and solar are nice, we need nothing less than a fundamental transition of our global industrial system? Yes, but luckily the shift goes beyond just the energy sector. Throughout the economy, people are working on improving...
Yeah, 250 is fucking busting. It was a lot of money. Yeah, I got lucky. Okay, I got lucky. at first I got a job for some projects or whatever. Okay, while I was cleaning up some vents and some bullshit and some projects, and they're like, dude, janitor got fired or some shit like that. Janitor quit or something like that. We need a janitor. Can you do janitor? I said, dude, fuck it, I'll do janitor. I had to learn janitor. I fucking loved it. It was a lot of fun. Okay, yeah, and honestly, dude, maybe if I did a janitor for a long time, I wouldn't enjoy it anymore. But I actually enjoyed it. Okay, I put my headphones on, put my hard hat because it was in a factory. Okay, and I would just go around with my cart, playing music, cleaning up stuff, going through the machines. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Moving current technology to lower emissions. We're rapidly replacing old incandescent light bulbs with LEDs that are 10 times more efficient. In 2020, about 7 out of 10 new cars in Norway were electric or hybrid. In 2021, it was already 8 out of 10. And the list goes on, from electric heating and better insulation to ships traveling at half speed to save fuel. Wherever you look, you find scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs trying to solve some aspect of climate change.
Wait, can I go back a little bit?
10. Electric or hybrid. In 2021, it was
wow.
already 8 out of 10. And the list goes on, from electric heating and better insulation to ships traveling at half speed to save fuel. Wherever you look, you find scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs trying to solve some aspect of climate change. Enormous amounts of human ingenuity are being brought to bear on this problem, with more and more people deciding to prioritize preventing rapid climate change. Solutions for low-carbon production of cement, electronics, and steel, and innovations like artificial meat and carbon capture are in the works. The more of these technologies we deploy, the cheaper new and better technology gets. The cheaper they get, the more people use them.
Guys, it's disgusting, chat, but meat it's very taxing on the environment. It's just incredibly taxing. It is what it is.
We can see the impact already. The domestic CO2 output of rich countries is falling without a major recession. Since the year 2000, the EU as a whole shows a 21% decrease, Italy 28%, the UK 35%, Denmark 43%.
Guys, I don't want to be rude, okay, chat? Maybe I don't know anything about this, and I don't, but I think I'd be more impressed looking at big juicer countries, right? In these stats or whatever. I feel like when you get a big ass one, guys, I don't know, United States, China, whatever. Like I feel like if those show big change, then it's a big huge thing. I get it. EU's huge, but
3%. But the best news may be that emissions are no longer necessarily coupled with the economic growth. In the past, this was an inconvenient truth. To get richer, you had to emit more, which led to fierce arguments between developing and developed countries about the fairness of reducing emissions while their populations were still poor. But in the last decade, we've seen that it is possible to increase prosperity without increasing emissions. Emissions in the Czech Republic dropped 30%.
This is not really right in a lot, and they're not applying for exactly what you're saying. These are non-import places. Okay.
18%, while their GDP grew by 27%. France reduced their CO2 emissions by 14%, while increasing GDP by 15%. Romania saw an 8% decrease and 35% growth. And even the largest economy on Earth, the USA, decreased emissions by 4% while growing their GDP by 2%.
I love this channel, chat, but I just feel like I need more stats to understand this better. What about the years before when they didn't? What was their rate of improvement? By a ratio, though, couldn't this mean that technically this could be a negative thing because they were increasing way faster and that I don't know. I'm just saying.
26%.
They need to be more stats.
Some of you may call this a numbers trick, that rich countries are just exporting emissions to poorer nations by moving the dirty parts of their economies like manufacturing. But even when we account for all of our imported goods, the numbers still look positive. It's no longer a matter of having to choose between prosperity and the climate, as it seemed to be a decade ago. Developing countries will profit from that because as rich countries pay for the expensive development of green technologies, they can adopt them more cheaply. They can skip most of the high emission phase that today's rich countries went through. We are at the point where not decarbonizing is a bad business decision. And we haven't even really talked about solutions like carbon capture. In 2000, it didn't really exist. In 2022, that technology does exist and costs around $600 to remove 1 ton of CO2 from the atmosphere. As investment pours in and the technology matures and begins to scale, it's likely that these costs will plummet over the next few decades. So everything's fine then? Well, let's not get carried away. All of these processes are great, but not nearly fast enough. We're still doing way too little, and technology will not magically solve everything. We need to use fewer resources and use them longer, design consumer goods that are repairable and durable, and decrease our energy requirements.
True.
We need much better infrastructure, agriculture, and cities. It will still be hard work, especially to get the right policies passed and enacted. But for the first time ever, there are a few trend lines pointing solidly.
Guys, isn't the big problem? Isn't the big problem to this, guys? Planned obsolescence or building things that you know will either break or become obsolete, and you literally envision obsolescence to create more juicer next time, and it's just fucking everybody over, dude.
In the right direction. And now imagine if all of this was achieved without proper financial and political support, and despite fossil fuel lobbying. Just think what humanity can do when climate change finally gets the political attention and funding it needs. So is it okay to feel hopeful again? The situation is still dire and serious.
Guys, something called planned obsolescence. It's a good concept. I don't know if I'm being like a tinfoil hat Andy. You can Google it. It's like building things that are meant to break after some amount of time that wouldn't normally break if you build it correctly. It's like purposefully about to break bullshit, literally. Or things that will become obsolete and you know for a fact because you know you're gonna make another one, maybe you're gonna have to buy it. It's just like, it's a concept.
What's the point of focusing on this side of the story? The trap of hopelessness. Climate change can feel overwhelming and make your future seem bleak. The sadness and hopelessness that many—
Stop saying Android! Android is the operating system. It is not a product. You dumb fuck. It is an operating system. It's a piece of fucking software. It's not a fucking piece of plastic. I'm gonna go buy an Android today. Holy fuck, why are Apple so fucking stupid?
People feel is real and very destructive because it causes apathy. Apathy that is only serving the fossil fuel industry, that is still delaying change however it can. In a sense, they have weaponized hopelessness. We are now in Phase 4 in the public debate about rapid climate change action. Phase 1 was, climate change is not real. Phase 2 was, climate change is real, but not caused by humans. Phase 3 was, climate change may be caused by humans, but it's not that bad. Phase 4 is, climate change is no longer avoidable. We are doomed, and it doesn't matter what we do. If we want the world to change, we first need to believe that change is possible. And we have an abundance of evidence that it is. Changes to our industrial system are gaining momentum. Technology gets better and cheaper. Climate change has become a key issue in most free elections. As more and more younger people move into influential positions, they prioritize climate change and work on new solutions. In 2022, most governments not only acknowledge it, but set their own net zero goals in democratic and autocratic countries. The results of years of fighting a steep uphill battle are now clearly visible. The pressure needs to keep increasing to make sure that the promises made today are actually kept. Climate doomerism is the equivalent of giving up, even though you can still prevent not just—
guys, I feel the world to me is still so— guys, I think I'm so ignorant about a lot of these things, but I feel like a lot of these things are also about like laws and regulations and government stuff. Because a lot of times, like, dude, like, I don't know. I get it because of the lobbying and shit. Whatever people like contributions and whatever the fuck. Yeah, lobbying and shit. That's hard, but technically, laws and stuff fixes this straight through, right? Isn't like it cuts straight through this
the worst
shit,
case,
does it not?
but also mitigate most of the bad things, make changes in time to adapt better, and prevent the poorest from suffering. That is why hopelessness and apathy are so dangerous. If the last, in many ways, wasted decade has shown anything, then it's that progress is being made, and that dire scenarios are just predictions, not our sealed fate. As of 2022, based on current global policies, we will end up in a 3 degrees world. Now it's our job to yet again prove the predictions wrong, despite how serious and urgent things are. To turn that 3 degrees into a 2 degrees, and then see where we can go from there. For that, we need hope. And we hope we gave you that today, at least a little. that you feel that things are serious, but also that you have a future, that you can have kids without dooming them or the world, that taking action today is worth it, and that despite powerful industries doing everything to delay it, society is changing. If you need a more concrete roadmap of what you can do personally, we're working on a follow-up video to talk about that in greater detail.
Cool.
Doomerism, inactivity, and weaponized hopelessness are the only trump cards left for the powers that don't.
I feel like doomerism is also kind of knowing that your impact is so small compared to all this fucking scum fuckery happening. That
Want
it's like,
change.
It makes you kind of
Don't let
go
them
into
win.
despair.
We're still excited about the future, and we think one of the best things you can do to keep your optimism and curiosity up is to learn new things. If you don't know where to start, our friends from Brilliant.org have got you covered. Brilliant makes maths and science accessible and fun with a hands-on approach. More than 60 interactive courses like The Joy of Problem Solving or Scientific Thinking give you the tools to crack problems in maths, science, and computer science that are all designed to get your intuition going and give you plenty.
Guys, last time, you guys remember it, boys? You guys remember, right? Yeah, this is a good video, by the way. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I'll link in the chat. Give him the credit for it.